Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back now. This is the second part of this ongoing discussion regarding variation in drug responses. Now, first of all, we will discuss the tolerance. We have already discussed its definition, but let's repeat it. Remember, after attaining the required effect, the first thing is we do get the required effect of a drug. And then after getting the required effect, it is the gradual decrease in the response of that drug. Kab? When we go on using its routine therapeutic dosage schedule, once a day, twice a day, thrice a day, etc., etc. Whatever the dosage schedule is, we are using accordingly, and we are getting initial response, but then there is gradual decrease in the response. This is the first characteristic of tolerance. Then another important thing is when there is decrease in the response, no doubt gradual. So if we want to get the intensity of the response according to initial, जैसे शुरू में किया था required effect, the initial response, if we want to get it again, the dosage is increased or dosage interval is given. Dose is increased especially when tolerance develops against opioids, benzodiazepine, barbiturates, alcohol. So obviously, then the tolerance will develop to that increased dose. Then we have to increase dose further, and this problem will going on. Second is in few selective cases, especially for nitrates, etc., nitroglycerin, dose increase cannot solve the problem. We can't say that one tolerance is developed to one patch of nitroglycerin, you applied two patch. No, tolerance will be there. In such cases, we have to give proper dose interval. That we have discussed in the previous lecture as far as the mechanism of this down regulation was concerned. Remember, drug tolerance does not develop equally against all the effects of a drug. For example, with opioids, tolerance may develop to a variety of its function against analgesia, against cough suppression, against respiratory depression, against euphoria, etc., etc. But what we have seen, especially tolerance to euphoria, that may develop with very, very earlier time, within few days. So what will happen? The person who is addicted to opioids and getting euphoria, the person have to increase the amount or dose of opioids to get the same intensity of euphoria. But at the same time, no doubt, tolerance also develops to respiratory depression. Very, very important aspect of opioids, they can depress the respiratory center, which is a very lethal effect. But tolerance to this respiratory depression does not develop earlier. It may take many, many days to develop. So what will happen? Respiratory depression will persist. So this effect may prove as a lethal effect. Now, types of tolerance. There are a variety of types of tolerance types. No doubt, first of all, we'll discuss the primary innate tolerance. It's very rare, but even then, in few cases, we can observe that tolerance is developed even with the very first dose. Usually, it is due to some genetic problem there. But the important one is the acquired tolerance, and the first is the pharmacokinetic tolerance. Here actually, whenever there is decreased level of the drug due to any reason, there is decreased absorption or there is a problem with the plasma protein binding, not very much free concentration is there. Similarly, there may be rapid metabolism, so very rapidly the drug is becoming inactive, or there may be rapid excretion also. So, but the most important one is the metabolism, most important. So that is why whenever we say pharmacokinetic tolerance, we may also say it metabolic tolerance. Now the example of this metabolic tolerance is barbiturates or even other cytohypnotics also. Now from our previous discussion of this drug metabolism, in which we discussed the enzyme inducer, we know that barbiturates are the known enzyme inducer. They accelerate the metabolism of the drugs, including their own metabolism also. So in this way their active levels are reduced very rapidly, and this is the mechanism of metabolic tolerance in case of barbiturates or the other cytohypnotics. Second reason is the pharmacodynamic tolerance. So obviously here something wrong is going to happen with the pharmacodynamic or mechanism of action. What happens usually, there may be some changes in the receptor sensitivity or even some change in the coupling mechanism. The efficiency of coupling is disturbed. In this way, example is most common drugs acting on CNS, especially the opioids. Third one is the behavioral tolerance or the Lennard tolerance. This is the physiology term we already know. Basically, it refers to reduction in the drug effect due to compensatory mechanisms that are acquired by past experience. Example is actually that during alcohol intoxication, the person is very much intoxicated with alcohol, but even then, due to past experience, the ability to walk straight is maintained. So despite of motor impairment, the person maintains the ability to walk in a straight line. But at higher levels of intoxication, this behavioral tolerance is overcome, and then person may become unable to walk straight line because now that Lennard behavior is lost. But at some state, this Lennard tolerance can be seen. Then the acute tolerance also. In this way, actually, a rapid tolerance develops with the repeated use only on a single occasion, remember, because it's very important. It will differentiate acute tolerance from the tachyphylaxis. Some people confuse with the tachyphylaxis, it's an acute tolerance. No, acute tolerance is something else. Acute tolerance is a rapid tolerance only for a single occasion, such as in a binge. You know what is a binge? A period of excessive indulgence in drinking or drugs or other activities. So, when a person is excessively indulged in, especially because we are talking about the tolerance, so obviously the drug is involved. So usually either alcohol or other drug involvement. When he is in a state of binge, what will happen? In repeated doses of cocaine over several hours produce a decrease in the response only for a single occasion for the subsequent doses. But when during the binge time, when the binge time is over, again the person will have the same amount of or same intensity of effect. Another type or reason can be seen, reverse tolerance. Here what happens? Sensitization occurs. So basically it is an increase in the drug response with repetition of the same doses of cocaine or same dose of amphetamine, but instead of decrease, there is increase in drug response. Tolerance has reversed because the membrane has become more sensitized. So this is, and also one of the types of tolerance we can say. Obviously, these such types of tolerance is happening only after longer time of dose interval in a day. Instead of while the person was taking, for example, after 6 or 8 etc. But when the interval has increased and then the person is taking the drug repeatedly, we can see now he is experiencing more effect than the previous time. There another terminology used as cross tolerance, what we call as heterologous desensitization also. Actually, this cross tolerance occurs when repeated use of a drug in a given category. Tolerance develops not only to that particular drug but also to other drugs of the same category. For example, in opioids, if tolerance develops to morphine, this tolerance will develop to codeine also, pentazocine also, and other similar drugs of the same group, are even of the same mechanism also. We will discuss this issue with the resistance also, in which cross resistance occurs. So, as I told you, example is tolerance to one opioid may produce cross tolerance to other opioids. Now, common reasons of tolerance, for example, in opioids, we have seen there may be some down regulation of the receptor. Repeated exposure to agonist cause down regulation receptor by endocytosis. We have discussed already in the previous lecture this mechanism of down regulation of receptor. Or there may be some dysfunction of the interaction between the receptor and G protein, or then interaction between the G protein with the second messenger system, or even at the level of ionic channels. So some dysfunction has happened that may lead to produce decrease in the response. Third one, there may be some systemic compensation occurred that may lead to produce tolerance. So that also plays a very important role in intact compensatory mechanism starts. Now the mechanism of this compensatory tolerance. Now there are two examples. One is long acting nitrates, other with the nitroglycerin which is short acting nitrates. Now with the long acting nitrates, we know they are also used for the maintenance therapy in angina patient. So they are producing vasodilation of different parts of the body, and hemodynamically they are actually producing less stress on the heart. But with this compensatory significant sympathetic activity, this will try to produce vasoconstriction. So this vasoconstriction through sympathetic activity will try to nullify the vasodilation produced by the long-acting nitrates. In case of short-acting nitroglycerin-like drug, no doubt it is also showing its anti-angiogenic effect by decreasing the stress on the heart, by decreasing the stroke volume. So retention of salt and water starts after few hours or few days. So that will try to reverse the hemodynamic activity of nitroglycerin. So these are the compensatory tolerance. In barbiturates or other cytohypnotics, mechanism is pharmacodynamic tolerance, which is more important than the metabolic tolerance. Obviously, in pharmacodynamic tolerance, again, there may be some changes in responsiveness of the, especially central nervous system activity of the receptors. The metabolic tolerance, that is also observed, as we have discussed previously with the barbiturates. Now, tachyphylaxis, it is something different from the tolerance. In tolerance, we studied that there was gradual decrease in the response of a drug. And number two, that gradual decrease was due to the use of the drug in its own therapeutic schedule. But here, in case of tachyphylaxis now, no doubt initially we do get our required effect, but when we start giving the drug repeatedly within short interval, there is a rapid decrease response. This usually happens instead of a therapeutic schedule. We want to get some specific effect. For that, we start giving the drug repeatedly with a short interval. This tachyphylaxis, if we want to get the response again, can be tackled or can be handled only if we give some proper dosage interval. So only then the tissue becomes responsive again. This we have already discussed, as I told you in the previous lecture, of regulation of the receptor. Now, causes of tachyphylaxis. First of all, there may be some complete depletion of the transmitter from the storage. The example is amphetamines. We will discuss it's one of the important sympathomimetic group, sympathetic nervous system involved. So here actually, from our knowledge of biochemistry, etc., or even physiology, we know neurotransmitter of sympathetic nervous system, which is actually norepinephrine and noradrenaline, it gets stored in the vesical nerve ending. So when action potential comes, there is a release of norepinephrine and effect is produced. When we use amphetamines, what they will do, they will enter into the nerve terminal and then into the vesicle, and then they will displace the neurotransmitter norepinephrine from the store. And that displaced transmitter norepinephrine will go to the synapse and will show its effects. So amphetamines are not directly going to bind with the receptor and to produce effect, but their released neurotransmitter is going to bind with the receptor. That is why they are known as indirectly acting sympathomimetic. They are depleting the stores of norepinephrine. So if we are using amphetamines repeatedly with a short interval, amphetamines or ephedrine, to get their some specific effect, then these stores will deplete rapidly, because obviously for the depletion of storage we have to give some rest. So the time interval to get again stores replenished, that will address this decreased response. But anyhow, complete depletion may be one of the causes of tachyphylaxis. Second is rapid desensitization of the receptor. So as discussed in the previous lecture, I am discussing it again and again. Due to rapid exposure of the drug to the tissue, it becomes desensitized or become insensitive. So no response of the drug is observed after repeated and rapid administration of the drug due to rapid desensitization. So by giving again time interval like nitroglycerin, hydralazine, we can get the response again. Remember here, increasing the dosage will not increase the pharmacological effect in case of tachyphylaxis. You can't do, instead of if we are using transdermal patch of nitroglycerin, so we will double the patch. No, we have to remove the patch for some time, and only then we can reapply the fresh transdermal patch of nitroglycerin, and then we will start having again the anti-angiogenic effect of nitroglycerin. Similarly, that is true with the hydralazine also. We have to give proper dosage interval, and only then we can start using hydralazine orally or parentally. Now let's see some differences in tolerance and tachyphylaxis. Now, obviously, first difference is the definition of both tolerance and tachyphylaxis. We have already discussed tolerance is a gradual decrease in the response of a drug when given its routine therapeutic schedule, while tachyphylaxis is a rapid decrease in the response of a drug after repeated doses over a short period of time. Then second is reason, causes of tolerance and tachyphylaxis. In tolerance, usually there is change in the pharmacokinetic, especially we have talked about the metabolic tolerance, and second reason is changes in receptor sensitivity. While in tachyphylaxis we have seen, while we discussed the indirectly acting sympathomimetics amphetamines, first reason is a cause is depletion of the neurotransmitter through which those indirectly acting drugs were showing their effect. And second is obviously desensitization of the tissue on which the drug is showing their effect. That is almost the same. Next is how we can reverse the tolerance or tachyphylaxis. Tolerance can be reversed by two methods. One is increasing dose and second is proper dosage interval. While tachyphylaxis, that can be reversed. First of all, replenish the stores in case of indirectly acting sympathomimetic. And second is give adequate rest to the tissue. Actually, both these will be achieved by the proper dosage interval. So this is same as only difference is it cannot be reversed by increasing dosage schedule. Here examples are drugs acting on CNS, especially opioid, barbiturates, benzodiazepine, alcohol, etc., which are through increased dose. And lastly, nitroglycerin, etc., that requires proper dosage interval. While the tachyphylaxis is mainly indirectly acting sympathomimetics or even hydralazine, etc. Next is the resistance. Now, these two terminologies are often confused, tolerance and resistance. Tolerance we have already talked about. That was gradual decrease response which can be achieved again. But resistance, actually there is a loss of response or ineffectiveness of a drug, and this is usually seen with the chemotherapeutic agents. Here, usually no increased response or effect is observed with increase in dose until we remove the cause of resistance. The resistance commonly seen in the antimicrobial like penicillin and all other almost antitubercular, especially very important as far as the resistance is concerned, and same is true with the anti-cancers also. Here also resistance is very commonly observed. The mechanism of resistance here, for example, let's see with the penicillin. First of all, there may be inactivation of the antibiotics itself by the beta-lactamases. Now, these are the enzymes actually which are synthesized by the bacteria. They want to save themselves. So, they save by synthesizing and releasing this enzyme lactamase, which then destroy the antibiotic which was meant to destroy them actually. So usually we call them lactamases. In case of penicillin, they may be known as penicillinase, or in case of cephalosporin, cephalosporinase. But because all these drugs are having mainly one typical chemical nucleus, that is beta-lactam ring, which is responsible for their antibiotic activity. So that is why after that beta-lactam ring, we are labelizing this as beta-lactamase. Next is modification of the target sites. For example, penicillin binding protein. So obviously, as the name is indicating it, these are the protein present on the cell wall on which penicillin is binding, and then it's showing its effect. So we have given the name to that site as penicillin binding protein. This is again true as it is the name given here. I already told you, whatever the name is assigned to anything, usually that indicate the whole pathophysiology or whole mechanism behind that. Anyhow, the next mechanism may be impaired penetration of the drug to the target. For example, penicillin binding protein. The changes in the cell wall occurs in such a way that molecule cannot penetrate the membrane and to reach the penicillin binding protein site. Or if it has gone inside the cells, next mechanism efflux. So these mechanisms can throw out again the molecule of antibacterial. So sufficient concentration or minimum required is not achieved because of this efflux process. Now, lastly, there's refractoriness. So obviously, as we already know about the terminology refractive period, the time in which the particular tissue is not responding at all. So that is, in this way, refractoriness is that time and period in which the tissue is not responding. Here actually it also develops due to compensatory mechanism. For example, the initial hypotension which can be achieved due to the vasodilation produced by the vasodilator, as we have discussed with the hydralazine-like drugs. So what they will do, they will reflex when there is vasodilation, peripheral vascular resistance is lost. Due to that vasodilation, when blood pressure falls, reflexly impulses is going to the higher centers of the brain, through which significant adrenergic or sympathetic activity is increased. So significant increased sympathetic discharge occurs. At the same time, after a few days, then other compensatory mechanism, when low pressure goes to kidney, then renin, angiotensin, aldosterone mechanism is started. So there is retention of salt and water. So both these can reverse the favorable hemodynamic changes that was hypotension produced by vasodilator that is addressed. So loss of response occur. But these can be achieved. For example, vasodilator induced vasodilation and reflexive sympathetic. This sympathetic discharge can be blocked by giving blocker of these sympathetic nervous system. For example, beta blocker. So that will not then increase the cardiac activity. Retention of salt and water, we can add diuretics to address this. So usually refractoriness can be addressed by modifying the compensatory mechanism responsible to produce this refractoriness. So up till now, thank you very much. In the next lecture, then we will discuss the remaining aspect of the variation in drug responsiveness. Allah Hafiz.